You were lied to about January. They told you it's just the weather. They told you it's post-holiday blues, that you're tired, unmotivated, weak. No. That explanation is designed to keep you comfortable and blind. If this makes you uncomfortable, good. Because January isn't sad by accident, it's engineered. And most people will never realize what's actually happening to their mind. January depression is not about cold. It's about collapse. The collapse of illusion, identity, and borrowed momentum. For 1 month, society gives people permission to lie to themselves. December is intoxication, noise, distraction, ritual happiness. You consume, you celebrate, you pretend. And the world rewards you for it. Then January arrives, silence, no applause, no permission to hide. And suddenly, people feel empty. Not because something was taken from them, but because something fake was removed. Here's the truth most people can't handle. January doesn't create depression, it reveals it. The average mind lives on external stimulation, events, deadlines, validation. Without those, it collapses inward. That's why January feels heavy. The mind is forced to face itself with no distractions left. Weak thinkers call this sadness. Strategic thinkers call it exposure. Most people don't suffer because life is hard. They suffer because they've been avoiding themselves all year. January simply removes the escape routes. Notice the pattern. Gyms fill up. Goals are announced loudly. I'm changing my life. I'm becoming disciplined. But underneath that noise is panic. Because deep down, they know something uncomfortable. If they don't reinvent themselves now, they'll be exposed again. January threatens identity. And the mind hates identity threats. Powerful thinkers understand this. They don't romanticize motivation. They understand cycles. They know that when stimulation drops, truth surfaces. That's why January feels brutal to the unprepared. No structure, no illusion, just raw awareness. Most people are not depressed, they're directionless. And directionlessness feels like depression to a mind addicted to motion. When December ends, borrowed purpose disappears. You're no longer needed by events, no countdowns, no celebrations, no social pressure telling you who to be. And that silence terrifies people, because silence forces a question they've been avoiding. Who am I without distraction? January answers that question brutally. This is where Machiavellian awareness begins. Understanding that emotion is not random. It's information. And January delivers information most people aren't trained to interpret. The weak mind tries to escape it. Scrolling, complaining, blaming the calendar. The strategic mind studies it. Powerful thinkers know that discomfort is not an enemy, it's a signal. A gap between who you are and who you could be. January widens that gap. That's why it hurts. Most people think happiness should be constant. That belief alone keeps them powerless. Because life operates in cycles, build-up and collapse, expansion and contraction. January is contraction, and contraction exposes weakness. That's why people feel small, unmotivated, invisible. Not because they are those things, but because their ego no longer has props. Here's the part no one tells you. If January didn't feel heavy, you wouldn't change. Discomfort is the leverage point of evolution. And January applies pressure exactly where you're fragile. That's why people either grow or numb themselves again. Most choose numbness. That's the difference. Powerful thinkers don't try to feel better in January. They try to see clearer. Because clarity hurts before it empowers. January depression isn't a malfunction. It's a psychological audit. And most people fail it. Here's where the shift happens. If you're capable of it, January rewards those who understand silence. Not silence as absence, but silence as power. The average person fears stillness because stillness exposes emotional lack of control. When nothing is happening, the mind starts talking. And most people don't like what it says, so they drown it out. Strategic minds do the opposite. They listen, January strips away emotional anesthesia. No dopamine spikes, no collective excitement. Just you and your internal hierarchy. That's why this month feels lonely. Awareness isolates. The moment you stop running from your thoughts, you realize something unsettling. Most of your pain comes from resistance, not reality. January forces acceptance. And acceptance feels like defeat until it becomes control. Silence is where emotional mastery is forged. Not in hype, not in motivation, but in the ability to sit with discomfort without flinching. This is where power begins. Your enemies, external and internal, are patient. Time doesn't rush. And neither should you. January teaches delayed gratification brutally. Nothing happens fast. Progress is invisible. Effort feels unrewarded. That's the test. Most people need immediate feedback to function. Remove that, and they collapse. Strategic thinkers operate without applause. They build when no one is watching, especially when no one cares. January is perfect for that. Pain becomes fuel only when it's observed, not dramatized. When you stop asking, "Why do I feel like this?" and start asking, "What is this feeling pointing to?" This is the Machiavellian advantage. Using emotion as intelligence. Depression, in its raw form, is slowed perception. Everything feels heavy because your mind is recalibrating. The noise is gone. Now the real priorities surface. That's why January reshapes identity. You stop reacting. You start selecting. Who deserves access to you? What habits survive without excitement? Which goals remain when motivation dies? These answers are brutal, but they're honest. January doesn't care about your self-image. It only responds to structure. That's why disciplined people feel calmer in January. They're not chasing feeling, they're executing systems. The shift from reactive to strategic happens quietly. No dramatic moment, no announcement. Just fewer words, more patience, less emotional leakage. You begin to understand that control is internal before it's external. And yes, it gets lonely. Because once you see how much of human behavior is driven by avoidance, you can't unsee it. You notice how people chase noise, how they confuse movement with progress, how they fear stillness more than failure. Awareness separates you. That's the warning no one gives. Power comes with isolation. Because you stop needing validation to act, January is where that independence is born. Not everyone is meant to survive it consciously. Most people will rush back into distraction by February. Same patterns, same escapes. But if you stay, if you let January shape you, you emerge different, quieter, sharper, less reactive. You stop chasing comfort. You start commanding direction. This is the loneliness of awareness, the weight of seeing reality without filters. And that weight? It's the price of power. Most people won't go further. That's the point.